When you think of Superman, you think of hope, justice, and truth. But what if those ideals were twisted, warped into a symbol of tyranny and domination? Meet Ultraman, the dark reflection of Superman from a parallel world. Ultraman looks to be prominently featured as one of the main villains in the upcoming film Superman. While no doubt the version of Ultraman we get in the film is going to be a little unlike the version we have from the comics, I thought today would be a good time to explore the character. In today's video, we'll explore the complete history of this ruthless dark shadow of DC's greatest hero. From his Silver Age origins to his latest DC appearances, this is the complete history of Ultraman. Ultraman made his first appearance in Justice League of America 29, published in 1964. Created by writer Gardner Fox and artist Mike Sekowsky, he was introduced as an evil counterpart to Superman and a member of the Crime Syndicate of America, a group of villainous versions of the Justice League from Earth 3, a parallel universe where good and evil were reversed. The traditional Justice League team of Superman, Flash, Wonder Woman, Batman, and Green Lantern all had counterparts, and they were Ultraman, Johnny Quick, Superwoman, Owlman, and Power Ring. In this world, Ultraman was the most powerful being alive, but unlike Superman, he used his powers to dominate, intimidate, and control. Much like his counterpart, Kryptonite is an integral part of Ultraman's abilities. Interestingly, in this early version, every exposure to Kryptonite gave him a new power, the opposite of Superman's weakness to it. In his first appearance, Ultraman finds a large piece of kryptonite which affected his eyes in a way that allowed him to see into a parallel dimension, our normal DC universe, where he was able to see his counterparts, the Justice League. The Crime Syndicate had grown restless due to a lack of competition, so Power Ring is able to transport the team to Earth where they start committing crimes to draw out the Justice League. Their teams battle, with the Justice League having the upper hand on Earth Prime, but after being transported to Earth 3, they find that they're outmatched by the Crime Syndicate. It's determined that in order to find out who's the stronger team, they must fight in neutral territory. Ultimately, the Justice League wins the rematch and imprisons the Crime Syndicate in a temporal bubble. The 1960s portrayal was a more simplistic version of this character, a clear black and white counterpart to Superman, but that would evolve over time. Ultimately, this version of the character was wiped from existence during the monumental crossover Crisis of Infinite Earths, which saw most universes wiped from existence at the hands of the Anti-Monitor. In 1985, DC Comics launched that trademark event, Crisis of Infinite Earths, collapsing the multiverse into a single unified timeline. As a result, Earth 3 and Ultraman were wiped from continuity. Ultraman did, however, die semi-heroically in a rare moment of resistance against the Anti-Monitor, stating that he would do what he always did and fight to the very end. But the concept of an evil Superman was too compelling to stay gone forever, and in fact, it's often the only way to get a handful of fans to seem interested in the character at all. In the 1990s and early 2000s, DC experimented with different interpretations of Ultraman. One notable version, we nicknamed Ultraman 2, appeared in JLA Earth 2 from 2000, written by Grant Morrison and drawn by Frank Quitely. In this updated tale, Ultraman hailed from the antimatter universe rather than a mirror Earth. In this version, Ultraman was a corrupted astronaut, Lieutenant Clark Kent, who had been genetically modified by aliens. He ruled the planet through fear alongside the rest of the Crime Syndicate. The antimatter universe concept gave writers more freedom to explore themes of moral inversion without relying on the opposite Earth gimmick. Morrison later brought this Ultraman back during his legendary and often misunderstood Final Crisis, which, spoiler alert, was not in fact the Final Crisis. During this run of comics, Ultraman worked with various evil monitors who were, at least in part, attempting to destroy all of the multiverse. Spinning out of the events of Flashpoint, we come to everyone's favorite timeline for DC Comics, the New 52. In 2011, DC rebooted its universe with the New 52, and Ultraman returned in a big way. One of the first line-wide crossover events was the series Forever Evil, written by Jeff Johns and drawn by David Finch. Ultraman and the Crime Syndicate played a central role as the main antagonists. This version came from, again, Earth 3, once again revisiting the classic concept of an evil Justice League from a parallel Earth. This Ultraman had a full-blown origin as well. Born Kal-El on Krypton, raised in a brutal environment where strength was everything. He was sent to Earth and raised by abusive adoptive parents who taught him that power was meant to dominate others. He ultimately killed the President of the United States of that universe, formed the Crime Syndicate, and took over the world. His powers were similar to Superman's, but with a twist. Ultraman was empowered by kryptonite, which he crushed and snorted to increase his strength. Meanwhile, he was weakened by the Yellow Sun, the exact opposite of Superman. This crime syndicate was trapped in a state of limbo for 5 years until a being named the Outsider manipulated the heroes of Earth into opening an artifact called Pandora's Box, which freed the crime syndicate into the new DC universe of Earth Prime. As a leader of the crime syndicate, Ultraman led the invasion of Earth Prime, ingesting all of the kryptonite he could find and moving the moon itself to create a perpetual eclipse as to not expose himself to the yellow sunlight which weakens him. Ultraman was a ruthless tyrant, even killing his own allies when they disappointed him. However, a looming shadow remained from their past. Something the crime syndicate feared above all else, which turned out to be the Anti-Monitor that they were searching for and running from, as it had been absorbing other universes and destroying them all along. Ultimately, the downfall of the crime syndicate and Forever Evil came from the combined efforts of the Justice League, a team of villains united together called the Injustice League, and Alexander Luthor of Earth 3 using the powers of Shazam, who went by the name Mazas, which is Shazam spelled backwards. Later, during the events of the Darkseid War, Ultraman is freed and attempts to exact revenge on Mobius, another being who he held responsible for destroying his universe. While he puts up a decent fight, he is eventually killed by that Mobius. After the New 52 ends, DC's Rebirth initiative continued to explore the multiverse in its darker corners. Earth 3 and the Crime Syndicate returned, especially during the Dark Knights, Death Metal, and Infinite Frontier storylines. In these newer versions, Ultraman remained the terrifying despot of Earth 3, and DC dove deeper into his psychology, exploring how his upbringing and worldview shaped his desire for control. However, despite his immense power, Ultraman was often outplayed by more cunning villains or defeated by united heroes from across the multiverse. Perhaps during the dawn of DC, we see Ultraman traveling from reality to reality, murdering various Supermen when he comes across John Kent, Superman's son. Over 2 issues, the battle with Ultraman proves more than Kent can handle. John eventually lets loose and is able to nearly stop him before the Superman from the Injustice universe swoops in and snaps Ultraman's neck, killing him abruptly. Perhaps the most compelling aspect of Ultraman is his relationship to Superman, not just as a villain but as a mirror, somebody who could have been Superman under different circumstances. Where Superman represents hope, Ultraman represents fear. Where Superman uplifts others, Ultraman controls them. The conflict between them isn't just about power, it's about ideology and about what one does with that power. Over the decades, their confrontations have highlighted Superman's compassion and moral compass, and each time Ultraman appears, he serves as the stark reminder of how easily power can corrupt if not guided by empathy and responsibility. From a campy Silver Age villain to a symbol of absolute tyranny, Ultraman has undergone many transformations, but through each version he remains one of DC's most fascinating evil doppelgangers, a dark reflection of what Superman could have become without the values that made him a hero. Sometimes the best way to understand a hero is to understand their shadow. And that is about it for this very brief video on the history of Ultraman. I hope you guys learned a lot, and if you did, consider liking and subscribing and doing all that crap that YouTubers ask you to do. This has been Nick from Key Issues, and remember the motto, Ultraman over everything.